The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome into an all-new edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show on the Belly Up Sports Network. I'm Vince Stover. He is the senior writer at bellyupsports.com, and he's not a pitcher, but he is a belly itcher. Kevin Wilson joins us today. Hey, Kev, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Vince, now that I'm free from the shackles of work.
Yeah.
And we get to discuss baseball. It's a new month now, and so, summer and baseball go hand in hand, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, and there's been a lot going on. We've been through now another month of baseball, which brings us into the summer months of June, July, and August, which really brings us into the most important part of baseball and fantasy baseball as well. So a lot to discuss today. We're looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the month of May. Then we're also going to look at Major League Baseball news. We've got some things to talk about there, and then we'll close it out with some waiver wire additions. So let's get into segment number one, the Fantasy Burner. Fantasy Burner is presented by Belly Up Sports. Check it out, bellyupsports.com for all your written content, and the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel for all your visual content. All kinds of shows. Actually, tonight there was a live show going on over there on the Belly Up YouTube channel for the NHL Super Show, playoff Stanley Cup Super Show, getting ready for the Stanley Cup Finals. And then this show is always available after it airs live on the Belly Up Fantasy Facebook page. It then goes up on the YouTube channel at Belly Up Sports. So check it all out there. We're looking for our fantasy burner today at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the month of May. And so we're going to start off with the good. And who do you got first, Kevin, as a good for the month of May?
Okay, so the first guy that I have for the good is Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners. And catchers in fantasy are a hard thing to try and nail down, but this guy hit 12 home runs in the month of May. Okay. And he set the record for the most home runs before the 1st of June. So we had that. 22 is the record now. 24 RBIs, 19 runs, also 2 stolen bases. And so this guy was a heavy hitter, and if you happen to take him, you are quite pleased with yourself because he put on just a fabulous, especially this past weekend. He was homering all over the place. And so as far as good players go, Cal Raleigh takes the cake for me.
I like that one. Excuse me. I like that one a lot, Kevin, as well. He was not on my list of guys because, but I don't disagree with you. I should say that. All right. The first guy I'm going to bring up is the one and only pitcher from the Kansas City Royals, Chris Bubic. Okay. 138 fantasy points in the month of May, tied with Tarik Skubal for first. And I actually scratched that. He got 19 points yesterday, so subtract 19 from 138. That was his May numbers. He had 18 points against Baltimore, 27 against the White Sox, 21 against Houston, 27 against San Francisco, and 26 against Minnesota. Obviously, the Royals pitchers are doing incredibly well. We saw a huge performance this week as they faced up against Detroit. But Chris Bubic is doing things that you just don't anticipate on the season. 5-3, a 1.43 ERA is absolutely incredible. And when you look at his month of May, only 2 earned runs allowed in the whole month of May. So, and by the way, with the exception of his first start in the month of May against Baltimore, quality starts in the next 5 and 6 if you count the game on Sunday as well. So he's rolling in the innings. He's getting at least 6 innings. He's gotten 7 actually in 4 of his last 5. So he's getting some innings deep. He's doing some good strikeout numbers. He's walking low numbers. He's getting wins. His ERA is low. He's doing everything. And when you look at especially the month of May, but you can go further than that. What Chris Bubic's doing this season is pretty special.
It is. And so my second good is also a pitcher, and that's Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins. And he made 5 May starts, and he allowed 1, 1, 0, 3, 1. Those are the earned runs he allowed in that. And he pitched 6 innings and 4 or 5 starts, 3 wins, no losses. He walked 1, 0, 1, 2, 1. So he was completely on it in the month of May. We saw how the Twins made a surge with 13 straight wins during the month.
Yep.
And they got themselves right back into the race after I had said cancel Christmas for Minnesota. And so Joe Ryan put himself together quite a month. And so he is definitely on my good side of the fantasy pitchers for the month of May.
I like that one a lot too. My last one for the good of the month of May, I'm going to go with Josh Wood, the outfielder from Washington. 86 fantasy points in the month of May. His numbers are very good now, as far as he's been crushing, even as of late. I mean, in the last week, I think he's had 3 home runs. He's giving you what you need. Batting average is decent at 286, 9 stolen bases on the season. I really like what Washington's doing as a whole. But to watch Josh Wood, there's other guys. Rafael Devers has had a heck of a month. Jacob Wilson probably should be mentioned again. We've talked about him in the past with the A's, has had a really good month as well. I like what Josh Wood did. And let me throw in there Robbie Ray as well, another pitcher. We talked about him a couple weeks ago, but a really solid May also. So I like those. Those are the good. All right. Now let's get to the bad. And I'm interested to see where you draw the line between the bad and the ugly.
Yeah, it was hard to do. Okay, let me just say that. So my first bad is also a pitcher, and that's Brandon Pfaadt.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Of the Arizona Diamondback. Okay, 6 May starts. He started off the month with a 2.78 ERA. So April was very kind to Brandon. Okay, now it's 5.05. So how did we get here? 6 starts. He allowed 4, 6, 4, 3, 3, and then this is the ugly portion because he gave up 8 runs without getting an out this past weekend.
It's not good.
No. And he also had 2 games where he had no strikeouts.
Oof.
That's hard to pull off.
Yeah.
And so on the 3 starts, he had -3, -3, and -21 fantasy points. And so he is firmly seated in the bad section, which is very close to being ugly. But he had some redeeming some.
Yeah.
And so I didn't put him in the ugly part because there are some guys that are really ugly that I'm going to get into in a minute. But Brandon Pfaadt, it was a bad month for you.
All right. I'm going to go to Fernando Tatis as my first bad of the month. Ooh. 45 fantasy points, 8 games with 0 hits. I mean, just not a lot happening for him. Only 2 home runs in the last 2 weeks. He's got to be providing a lot more than that for the Padres, especially in that division. So I like Fernando Tatis. He's definitely not on my waiver wires or anything like that. No. But not a good week or not a good month for Fernando Tatis. It's time for him to turn on the Jets.
Okay. So this guy has 1 foot in the ugly pond. Okay. Let me just say that. And that's Jorge Polanco of the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
I had 1 Seattle Mariner who was good. I've got 1 Seattle Mariner who is bad. And he was hot. Everybody was running to add him to their fantasy team at the start of May because he was hitting 387. Okay. Now it's 262. How did we get here? He has 2 hits in his last 34 at-bats in the month of May. Okay. 1 RBI in his last 14 games and 2 runs scored. And that's all that he had.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about drops and stuff. So I don't want to get too deep into this right here because, it it was bad.
Yeah.
And so Jorge Polanco, you were good to start the month, but you finished it awfully bad. So he's my second baddie.
I like that one. I'm going to go with Jaron Duran
Yes.
from Boston, 51 fantasy points this month. His name has come up in trade rumors to San Diego recently as well. But both of these guys, Tatis and Duran, are 96% owned, rostered, 98% rostered. Like, to have a month like that, you just can't do it. You have to be the guy that's pouring in the numbers and doing, you got to be up there in the 80s at least in a month time. So those are the two guys, that I picked out. Excuse me, because just a rough month in May. And Kevin, I got one more fantasy note for the month of May. The bad. It's a fantasy team that's called the Will C. 2-game losing streak to end out the month. Currently a game out of the playoffs in the Belly Up Fantasy Baseball League.
I surely appreciate you bringing that up.
Team manager, I think, is named Kevin Wilson. So, anyways, not the ugly.
No,
the ugly is Ryan McCarthy. He's on another show on the network. But the bad this month, Kevin Wilson had a rough month in the fantasy baseball.
Well, in my defense, I will say, because I lost to you by one stinking point.
Yes.
And then I had one of the highest scores in all our league, but it did not suffice. So I won't say anything more about that. So
yeah, that's why it wasn't ugly. It was just
okay.
It was just a bad month.
The ugly. This is ugly.
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah, let's get to the ugly. All right.
Okay. So my first candidate for ugly is Francisco Alvarez, the catcher for the New York Mets.
Oh, okay? That's a good one.
Yes, it is, because he started off, he had some injuries and everything else. He had hits in his first 5 May games. So people are like, yay, he's back. My catching situation is solved. Well, no. He started off hitting 308 begin the month. It's 235 now because he has 5 hits in his last 35 May at bats. That's just stinking ugly right there.
Yep.
And so no home runs for the month. None. Okay. 4 runs scored in the entire month.
Yeah.
And so, catchers don't play as often as other players, positions, but come on, you've got to have more than 4 runs scored in an entire month. And so he was really, really ugly. And hopefully your catching position is a lot better than having Francisco Alvarez, because this is just dim right here.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with the Mets. I'm going to go to the first base side. Pete Alonso had 31 fantasy points in the month of May.
That's awful.
That's awful. That's correct. Yeah. 31 fantasy points in the month of May. He closed out the month against Colorado. And in the 3 games, there was a 4-game series, but in the 3 games played in the month of May, he was 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 0 home runs, 1 RBI in those 3 games. You just can't do it. Against the White Sox, he had an okay series. He had a lot of negatives against Boston. He was negative 1 point in the series against Boston. Not great against the Yankees either, like just struggling through the month of May. He obviously, it seems like every other game he's at least crushing, but he went for a stretch there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game stretch without a home run. If you're Pete Alonso, you can't do that. You got to keep raking. And 31 fantasy points in a month, it's not going to cut it as we get to the turn here in the fantasy baseball season. So for me, as much as I think your choice is a very, very solid choice, the expectation on Alonso is so much higher. And to me, it's just dog ugly this month for Pete Alonso.
No question about that. And if he had kept his bat on his shoulder in one particular game last Sunday,
yeah,
then it would be really, really ugly.
Yep.
Okay, so the last guy I'm going to talk about in the ugly section, unfortunately for me, is a guy that's on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay, and that's Tony Gonzalez, starting pitcher for them. Okay, his last 2 starts, he gave up 12 runs in 15 innings. He walked 11 and struck out 11. Now, if your strikeout to ball ratio is 1-to-1, that is the most awful stat I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. And so he gave up for 2 runs in his first 2 May starts. Everybody was like, oh, yay. But then he only scored 13 in his last 3 starts. 13 fantasy points is all he gave you in 3 starts, the last 3 starts. And the Dodgers pitching staff is injured. It's struggling. It needed much more than that from him, and the Dodgers didn't get it. And so he is ugly in the month of May.
I like it. I got a friend who coaches his little league, his son's little league team. The other day, they threw a 1-hitter and lost 6-5. So there's your walkout to strike ratio summed up right there for you. Yeah, you don't want to see that in the major leagues. That's for sure. 11 walks and 11 strikeouts.
1-to-1. I've never seen that before, ever. And I've, seen a lot of baseball stats in my day.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a 1-to-1 strikeout to balls ratio like that.
All right. My last one, my ugly for the month of May, is a guy by the name of Mason Miller, the A's relief pitcher, -2 points for the month.
Wow.
-2 points for the month. Now, it didn't help him that against Miami on the 3rd, May 3rd, he had -16 points. That did not help his cause out.
No.
But he also had a -5 against San Francisco, a -4 against Philadelphia, a -3 against Philadelphia. Add those all up, he had one great game against the Yankees back in the middle of the month, or actually on May the 10th, and he had 12 points. But outside of that, it has been an absolute lost cause on the season for Mason Miller. He's still 92.3% rostered in ESPN leagues, and he went -2 on the month.
Wow.
Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why people aren't paying attention. It feels like the people who drafted Mason Miller are the people who have already checked out, and so they just don't look at their roster anymore, and they don't realize they got to get rid of them. But man, Mason Miller, what a disappointment, and just dog ugly in the month of May. -2 points there.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody have a -2 fantasy points for the entire month.
Right.
That played in the whole month.
Right.
So,
and especially a relief pitcher. Like, you throw 1 inning at most. It's okay to have a bad game, but at some point it comes around.
Wow. Yeah, that's awful.
All right, there you go. The good and the bad, the ugly for the month of May. That's our fantasy burner presented by Belly Up Sports. Check it out, bellyupsports.com, and on YouTube, the Belly Up Sports Network. All right, let's go to segment number 2. We call it the Hot Corner. Hot Corner is presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code BELLYUP. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. I want to focus most of our time on the standings today in this segment. Okay. A few quick things to hit on. And I actually got 2 Braves things. AJ Smith-Shawver is undergoing Tommy John surgery.
That's unfortunate.
He hasn't been playing great, but that's not good for the Braves. I expect them to add an arm here pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't say this is the best move, but I wouldn't be surprised if they call up Baltimore and make a move there to bring in, maybe they get Charlie Morton back. They've had some success with him in the past. Who knows? I'm thinking about bad teams that are going to unload some things right now, and they might be one of them. So anyways, keep an eye out for that. And then while we're on the Braves, Michael Harris, can I just say the highlights that he's making right now in the outfield, it has nothing to do with fantasy baseball. It's all with his glove. I was watching some stuff the other day. I had my son in there with me, and I said, He's winning a Gold Glove this year. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it seems like every game there's a highlight of Michael Harris robbing a home run or making an incredible catch out in the outfield. And I absolutely love it. I love seeing those kind of highlights, the dives and the jumps to grab the baseballs. I'm so impressed by it, and I wanted to make sure we shout out Michael Harris today for what he's doing out in the field right now.
Yeah, I've seen the same highlights as you, and they're spectacular.
Yeah,
and there were some pretty spectacular plays that happened throughout the whole month, but he was on there. It seems like every time you turn on the MLB network.
Yeah.
And top 10, what is it, the top 10 plays they do?
Yep.
Michael Harris's name was invariably in it. So
he was there a lot.
Yep. So that glove is going to keep him in the lineup. So if the bat could come around just a little bit, that would be awesome.
Yes, agreed. Now, kind of tied in with the Braves a little bit. I noticed something, Kevin.
Okay.
Orlando Arcia, he chooses to be let go instead of going to the minors, signs with the Rockies. And I've been paying attention to the Rockies. And they're still losing, but they're losing by 1 run. In most games, it's 3-2, maybe 3-1, 4-2, 4-3. And they've played some people here recently.
Yeah.
They had a blowout against New York, but the other games against New York were all 1 or 2 run games, and they weren't high scoring games. And there's something that I think Keston Hiura just got called up, who's not an all-star player by any stretch of the imagination. Toglia gets sent down. If I'm the Rockies right now, the reset I make is not calling up all my young guys. I'm going to go out and start getting some veterans. I'm going to throw a bunch of veterans out there on the field that want it and say, guys, this season's for you. Go earn your next contract. Go out there and teach the young guys because experience is great. It's a great teacher. But if you're experiencing losing all the time, what are you really learning?
Right. Depression. That's it.
Yes. So I think you get some more guys in like Orlando Arcia, and you bring some of these guys in and say, hey, guys, this is your program for the rest of this year. You teach. We'll sprinkle in 2 or 3 young guys as well. You teach them. You show them what it's like to be professionals. And maybe Colorado can turn things around at least to be respectable in the next year or two. I don't know. What are your thoughts? That's not something we've ever really talked about. What are your thoughts?
No, that's an interesting take. And I could see that because otherwise they're going to lose like 140 games this year.
Yeah.
And you don't want, we're talking 1884 or something when teams were as bad as this.
Right.
And so go ahead and if they were playing, maybe they were going to lose 100 games. I could see the playing the young guys and all that, getting experience, et cetera, and so forth. But this is your reputation.
Yeah.
You've got, and I saw this the other day, they get 40,000 fans that come to those games every, at least on the weekends they do.
Right.
And so you're telling me that the 40,000 people that are coming to their games are going to see 140 losses? Come on, you owe to your fans much more than that.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you. Go ahead and get some guys in there, get some wins strong, because they have 9 wins.
Right.
And the other teams, the worst teams are like 23.
Win 1 game a series. Make that your goal. Let's get 1 game a series. And once we get that, then we can worry about winning a series. Well, let's go 1 game a series. And I think, like I said, I'm sitting there watching Orlando Arcia play. And listen, I like Orlando Arcia. He was a Brewer,
right?
Before, and then he went to the Braves and had actually played really well in Atlanta for a number of years.
He did.
And I'm just sitting here watching him, and I see something in him in his at bats that I don't see from the young guys there in Colorado. And it's like they're just going out and just kind of, there's no passion in what they're doing. And he's got that fire still in him. And I think that that's important. And I think that it can help out the team long term to bring more guys in like that And still understanding you got to get your young guys experience, but I mean, just
Well,
rotate them through or
we got
something.
4 months of experience that we can play with.
Right, right. So that's where I think. All right, let's go through some standings.
Okay.
I'm looking at the standings and I'm seeing one, maybe two divisions in all of baseball that are not going to be entertaining, and the rest of them will be. So the AL East, I don't think is going to be entertaining. Yankees, they're only 5.5 up on the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays are 3 games over 500. So,
yeah. Right. That seems like 15.5.
You're right. Yeah, Rays are 6.5 back. The Red Sox, thanks to the Brewers, are 8.5 back. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the Orioles, I mean, my goodness, 3-game win streak. Give them that. But
they played the White Sox.
Well, you still got to beat them,
right? So clap for that. Yeah. And I actually contemplated starting Charlie Morton yesterday against them.
Yeah.
And decided not to do that. And he pitched into the 7th inning. That shows how bad the Chicago White Sox are.
Yes. Well, that brings me to the AL Central. I want to say this one's going to be entertaining, but I don't know, Kev. I'm just sitting here going, it seems like the Tigers have a firm grasp on this division, even though they're 6 games up on Cleveland, and I still think Cleveland can make a run and make the playoffs, but they're minus 16 in run differential.
It is. That's amazing.
The Twins, they had a moment, a flash. Their pitching is still pitching really well, but they're 7 games back. The Tigers are having solid pitching and really good offense, 39-21. One of, if not the, are they still the best team in the league? Yeah, still the best team in the league right now. So I look at the AL East and the AL Central and go, okay, I'm kind of tuning that one out for a little bit until I care about the wild card race again.
Right.
I'm gonna tune those two out. Now
okay,
let's look at
with you.
Okay, let's look at the other ones then. The NL East, the Mets, a game up on the Phillies. And
what happened to Philadelphia? They've lost 4 straight.
Well, I mean, we're gonna get to the Brewers because that's what happened to Philadelphia,
right?
And we're gonna hold on that topic for just a minute because I'm ready to talk Brewers here in a second. Okay, but I'm trying to be patient. So we got the Mets and the Phillies dogging it out there at the top of the East. Nationals 9 games back, Braves 9.5 back. Both of those teams are under 500. So at the top, you're looking at Mets, Phillies. Until this week, we would have said, Phillies look like the best team, I think, in the division until this week.
Because they just won before that. Didn't they have like a 6 or 7 game winning streak?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then just like that, and somebody's like, how could this happen? Because it's baseball.
Yeah.
That answers any question that you don't understand. How could this happen? Whatever this discussion is. That's because how do the Yankees give up 18 runs in one game and then turn right around and give up 3 the next and win? Because it's baseball.
Well, and you look back on Saturday's game, Jesus Luzardo going into the game was 5-0.
That's right. That's right.
We talked about him a week or two ago on the show. Right. Like he's leading the Phillies pitching staff with Wheeler being there. He's having this incredible year, and then he gets torched on Saturday. Yeah. And sometimes it's, you said it's baseball. I agree with you. Sometimes reality comes back.
It does.
And Jesus Luzardo
is a
good pitcher. I'm not saying he's not a good pitcher, but he's not a 5-0 pitcher.
No.
In the AL East, it's not who he was. 3-2, maybe a 4-1. Because he got lucky, but 5-0 was not Jesus Luzardo, and he's not the best pitcher on the Phillies.
No,
and he showed up on Saturday to show.
No. Even Zach Wheeler did not pitch all that well on Friday either.
Correct. Well, let's not give the Phillies all the blame because they played a really good team. Let's get to it. National League Central. First of all, the Cubs are still 4 games up on the Cardinals, 5.5 up on the Brewers, 8-2 in their last 10. Right. Still playing incredible baseball, hitting the ball like crazy. The Cubs, when you look at them and see kind of, I feel like when I watch the highlights of the Cubs game, I'm going, oh man, they must be struggling. And then I look at the final score and I go, oh, never mind, they got another win. what I've seen, and I try not to do this in a biased manner, even though I hate Craig Counsell,
Yeah.
and I hate the Cubs, but I watched them, earlier in the month. It just seemed like, man, they're just tearing the cover off the ball. They were playing so good, and I feel like as of late, they haven't been playing good baseball, but they've still won games, and you got to do that. And that reminds me a little bit more of the Craig Counsell we're used to, not winning pretty, but winning ugly. And he's been doing that recently with the Cubs, and it's still impressive to see what the Cubs are doing.
It is, because they're at plus 97.
Yeah.
And so that is excellent, of course. And unfortunately for me, when on Friday, because my opponent had the Cincinnati Reds pitcher who completely shut down the Cubs and pitched into the 7th inning. So thanks a lot, Cubs, for that.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, the Cubs have been playing very well. And the Cardinals, for inexplicable reasons, went into Texas and lost 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And so, how do you explain that? Baseball once again. And in Milwaukee, they turned it around.
Well, that's what I want to ask. Okay. So they're on a 7-game win streak. They're 4 outs away from going on an 8-game win streak as we do this show right now on Monday evening. We typically do the show on Sunday night. Sorry, friends. Schedule things happen. We're doing it on Monday night this week.
That's right. So we're here now.
So get off my back, Dad. So I sit here and I go, okay, first of all, they swept who did they sweep? Boston. So they sweep Boston, and I was impressed. 2 extra inning games, and they gutted them out, and I was like, all right, that's good.
Right.
We needed that. That was good.
Craig Counsell hits the walk-off grand slam.
Well, no, not Craig Counsell. He's managing.
Not Craig. Oh, you know who I'm talking about.
Christian Yelich. Yes.
Christian Yelich.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's the first walk-off home run of his career.
Yes. If you call him Craig Counsell again, you're no longer invited to be on this show, Kevin.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I saw that, and it was his first walk-off, and that's amazing to me because he's played a long, long time.
Yeah. Had an MVP season. Yeah.
That's right.
How do you not have a walk-off home run? You can understand a walk-off grand slam, but not a walk-off home run is nuts.
Right.
But yeah, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Then we come into the Phillies series, and I'm going, okay, we're going to come back down to earth this week. This is going to be a tough series. It's not going to be pretty, all this kind of stuff. Win the first one. I'm like, all right. Hey, that was good. That was a good game. Come into Saturday, blow them out. I mean, 17-1 for most of this game.
Blow them completely out.
Yes. So they won by 10, 17-7 at the end of the day there. So I'm talking to some people Sunday morning at church. We're talking about the Brewers. Everybody's happy. Like, going for the sweep. I was like, oh, no, we're not getting the sweep. That's just not how we work. We win the first 2, and then we kind of one guy said, you won't see Contreras will be sitting, Yelich will be sitting, no one will be playing today, and we'll lose the series, or we'll lose the game. Nope, win that one too. Come from behind to win that one. Yelich gets hit in the hand. Thankfully, nothing broken. He actually hit a home run tonight against the Reds as well. So all is good right now in the Milwaukee universe. Yet they're still 5.5 back. We just talked about this with Minnesota a couple of weeks ago when they went on their big run. They still were way back. The Brewers had the best week you can possibly have in Major League Baseball, and they're still trail 5.5 games from the Cubs. I will say this as a fan of the Brewers. This gave me so much hope and so much confidence in what the second half of the season can hold. The pitching is pitching much better. The bullpen is figuring things out. Abner Uribe, I don't want to jinx him. Let me make sure I don't do that. Hang on a second. I want to make sure. Yeah, we're out of the 8th. Okay. Abner Uribe has been great as the setup guy in the 8th inning. He's been pitching phenomenally. Just went through a perfect 8th inning tonight against the Reds as well, setting it up now for Trevor McGill to get the save. If I don't know if he's going to pitch tonight or not. He pitched last night. But anyways, doesn't matter. My point is this. I'm happy. 5.5 back from the Cubs is not great, but I trust Craig Counsell to fail. And so in that, if the Brewers can do their part, I think everything will be fine for Milwaukee. And by the way, St. Louis is still in second place. I mean, we did not see that one happening at all.
No, we did not. And I don't want to be like, put some sour milk into this because the Brewers, if you look at their team overall, they're not a 7-game consecutive win streak team.
Fair.
So that's going to come back at some point. You just want to make sure you don't go from 7 wins to 2-8.
Right.
And so if you can go 7 wins and then go, maybe 7-3,
Yes.
6-4, and they won a division last year.
Yes.
And so they can do that.
Yep.
But don't let your foot up off the gas and keep it rolling. And this is going to be an interesting division to me because, as we've talked about, you have to win this division.
Yeah.
Even though right now the Cardinals are in the wild card, if it was today.
Right. Well,
but I don't see that. I don't see that continuing.
For the Brewers, they finish out with the Reds. They got 2 more games with the Reds. They got the Padres at home and the Braves at home and the Cardinals at home. 3 straight series at home. Then they got the Cubs on the road, the Twins on the road, Pirates at home, and Rockies at home to end the month. Okay. They can make a major ground this month. The month of June is an important month for the Brewers for sure. I don't trust the Cardinals. I don't believe in the Cardinals. I don't see this is going to continue. I could be wrong. Listen, last year I was the one saying, hey, don't sleep on the Cardinals. I know they're not playing well, but don't sleep. And they never caught up. They never picked it up.
No, never.
Now I'm flip-flopping when they're playing well. I'm saying don't trust the Cardinals. So take it or leave it. I don't care. I don't trust them. It's Milwaukee and Chicago's division right now. And the month of June will play a big role in this division, I think, too.
I'm not exactly sure how many games that is, but let's say it's 27. And the Brewers need to go, I would say, if they can go 20-7.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yes, I agree.
But they don't want to go like 15-14.
Right. No, you can't be playing 500 ball in the month of June.
Yeah, you can't be playing 500 ball with a schedule like that.
Yep, I agree. Real quick on the West, Dodgers still lead, but only by 2 games. Padres playing really good baseball still. Giants still hanging around 3 games back. Diamondbacks, by the way.
Can we say right now that the Diamondbacks are the most disappointing team other than the Orioles?
Yeah, you got to put the Orioles first.
First, because they're 798 games out of first or whatever it is they are.
Yeah.
But Arizona,
right there.
Yeah. At least the Orioles didn't give up 9 runs in the first inning the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have a losing record at home.
Yeah.
And you look at this because, so the Dodgers are 21-9 at home. Then you look at the Padres are 20-10. The Giants are 17-9. I'm sorry. Yeah. They're 2 games below, 15-17.
Yep.
That's what Arizona coming into today's games are 15-17 at home. That's not getting it done at all.
No.
And they're 1 game below 500 on the road, which you can kind of deal with that a little bit.
Yeah.
But you've got teams that are 21-9 at home and 20-10 and 17-9. If you have 2 games below 500, that's not cutting it.
Well, and that's what you say because Dodgers are 1 game above 500 on the road. They're 15-14.
That's right.
And Giants and Diamondbacks are all 1 game below 500 on the road. So they're all even on the road.
All even on the road, but the Dodgers come home and all of a sudden they're Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Padres and Giants playing each other. So
that's right. And the interesting thing about the Giants is they're winning, but their offense has gone completely asleep.
Yeah. But
I saw that 14 straight games where they've scored 4 or less runs.
Whew. Yeah.
That's putting a lot of pressure on your pitching staff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Just to mention it, since they're the only division we haven't mentioned, AL West, Mariners half game up on the Astros, Rangers 4 back. They're 2 under 500. Nothing pretty going on in the AL West. Seems like the same song.
Nobody's burning a hole in the ground because they're so hot in this division.
Yeah. All right, there you go. That's the hot corner. I like it. Very good. Presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution. RighteousFelon.com. Promo code's belly up. Get 15% off your purchase at checkout. All right, let's head into segment number 3, our fantasy focus. Fantasy Focus is presented by SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code BellyUpSports. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. I'm hoping to get to a baseball game this month, Kevin. I'm not sure if we'll get to a Brewer game or we'll just stick it out and go to a minor league game, the Beloit Sky Carps. We'll see. We're going to figure out one of those. Lance Leopold is Kansas football coach, is the partial owner of the Beloit Sky Carps. He's coming to town this month to have a meet and greet, sign autographs and stuff. So I might go over there and try to sneak an interview for the Sports Stove football show with them as well. But we'll see.
That
We'll see how
works.
that shakes down. All right. This is our ads and drops segment. Has nothing to do with Lance Leopold or Kansas Jayhawks football.
What a great name that is, though. Let me just throw that in.
That's a good one. All right. We're going ads and drops. Let's start with the drops. I'll give you two guys. I'm not going to give you any details on them other than get rid of them this week. Hunter Goodman from Colorado. His numbers have just been abysmal as of late, and there's just too many fish in the sea to stick around with Hunter Goodman. And then Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore, he should be a streamer. He should be a guy that when he's hot, you put him in, and when he's not, you release him. You're not missing out in some cases. Right now, he's not hot. Gives you a lot of positional flexibility, but he's not playing good baseball at the moment. And we're always a little careful with Mariners anyhow. But offensively especially. But nonetheless, for this week, I think Hunter Goodman and Dylan Moore are guys that we can get rid of. Any drops for you this week, Kevin?
Okay, so I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I've got three, and these could have went on the ugly side as well. One is Javier Baez of the Detroit Tigers, who was hot, and I actually added him to my fantasy team, both of them. And so, but 1 for 13 and 1 RBI since May 21st. 1, 0, 2, -2, -1, -1, didn't play, -1, -2. Those are the fantasy points he's put up in the last few games. So you ride the high wave, and then when it flattens out, you cut. This guy needs to be cut. He plays up 700 positions, at least in fantasy, he qualifies for that, but you got to hit the ball. He's not doing that. And Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox went 3 for 5 last Saturday. And so some people saw that, okay, we're going to add him. They're playing Baltimore coming up. But 1 for 17 since then.
Yikes.
Okay. He didn't take advantage of the Baltimore series at all. All right. So he's got to go. And I talked about him in my ugly segment. Jorge Polanco needs to – he's another guy that started hot. You add him, he's cold. He's ice cold. He's 32 degrees below zero. Okay? So he's got to go. So those three guys for me are the drops this week.
All right. Well, let's move over to the additions for this week. Do you want to start us off with the ads?
Okay, so ads – I'm going to start off, and I have to say I was really reluctant to have any positive things to say about the Tampa Bay Rays starting pitching. And so far, that has turned out to be not an issue. Okay? Zach Littell is at 14.6% rostered. Okay? He's 5-5 with a 3.86 ERA, 1.10 WHIP. Okay? And so let's see. At Houston, a complete game, 3 runs, 10 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 base on balls. On Friday, I'm sorry, he faces the Miami Marlins. Okay, and Miami not as bad offensively as they've been in the past, but still, he's a guy that he's kept things going, and Tampa Bay is playing well of late. And so Zach Littell at 14.6% rostered would really help your fantasy team.
I smile because I'm going the opposite of you on that Friday matchup.
Okay.
So my guy is Edward Cabrera for the Miami Marlins. He's going Friday against Tampa Bay.
I saw that. I did.
And listen, fantasy-wise, just strictly fantasy speaking, right? Against San Francisco on Saturday, 18 points, 5.2 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Against the Angels, and listen, I know it's the Angels, but you still got to perform. 27 fantasy points. He had 10 strikeouts, only 2 walks. Against the Cubs, 13 points. Against the White Sox, 12 points. Against the A's, 11 points. Not great, I understand that, but double digits still. The only non-double digit game he's had in the month of May, actually, it wasn't even the month of May. It was all double digits in the month of May. His last game in April was against the Dodgers, -3. Tampa Bay, they are playing fine, but they're not playing crazy good.
No,
And
no. Especially at home. They're going to regret that they're not playing better at home.
Yes, you're right. But I'm going to go Cabrera in this one. I like that matchup. I don't mind either pitcher. I like Cabrera a little better. He's 5.6% rostered in ESPN, so he's definitely available. So as you get to the end of this week and you're looking for pitchers, those are 2 guys, I think, between Littell on Tampa and Cabrera on Miami. If one or both are available, I like going head-to-head. I like having both guys on my roster because I know one of them is going to probably get the win more than likely. And so I like doing those kinds of things. But Cabrera is my pick for that Friday matchup against Tampa Bay.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So a guy I didn't think I was going to be able to go with this year is Lance McCullers of the Houston Astros. Is at 5.1% rostered, and he has every reason to be at 5.1% because he gave up 7 runs to Cincinnati back on the 10th of May. Okay, He was hurt and just getting back in there and got lit. But what he's done is he's increased his innings pitched his last 3 starts. It started at 4, went to 4.1, and then 6 innings pitched. And let's see, against Colorado, I understand it's Colorado, but still 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 base on balls. And then on Tuesday, he faces the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. And we all know how we didn't even talk about the Pirates when we were talking about the Central. That's how bad they are.
Yeah.
And so at 5.1% rostered, I think that he is going to round into position. He's been an excellent pitcher in the past, so he won't be at 5.1% rostered for very much longer. So if you want to swoop in and pick him up and perhaps even keep him on your roster, Lance McCullers is the way to go.
I like it. All right, let me get me a Brewer in there. It's been a while since I put a Brewer on this list.
Okay.
Second base and third base eligible Caleb Durbin came over in the Devin Williams trade, started the year in the minors, came up to play third base in Milwaukee every day. In the last 3 series, which was against Philadelphia, Boston, and Pittsburgh, he's 32 total fantasy points. He's averaging, I say averaging, I don't know. He's getting a lot of points here recently. Against Pittsburgh, he went 1, 3, 5, and 5. Against Boston, 1, 1, and 7. And against Philly, 3, 4, and 2. So again, now he's only 2.4% rostered. He's not going to be, you don't want him to be your hope at third base or second base. But if you got a guy that goes down and gets injured, you need a guy to fill in and get you a couple points here and there. Caleb Durbin, he's playing every single day. I say that, of course, he didn't play today, but he's playing every single day, and he's producing. He's not getting you negatives. He's not getting you zeros. He's playing some really good baseball. He's not going to get you home runs. If you're in a categories league, Durbin's not going to get you home runs, but he's getting you RBIs. He's getting you runs. He's getting you total bases, a couple stolen bases here or there as well. Caleb Durbin's playing some really good baseball right now.
Okay. Like that one a lot. All right. So this guy that I'm going to talk about next is at 19.7% rostered. So in other leagues, that usually means like 68% or so.
Yeah.
But so he may not be available all throughout the land, but if he is, I'm talking about Willie Castro of the Minnesota Twins. Okay. And he plays, like I meant, 700 different positions. So you can plug him into wherever you need it.
Yep.
All right. So the important thing is this is one of those matchup where it's fireworks galore. Because a 4-game series, Minnesota begins probably about an hour or so. They're in Sacramento for 4 games. And Sacramento pitching is getting lit up.
Yep.
horribly. We didn't mention the A's while we were talking about them either.
Yep.
So, but a 4-game series in Sacramento, it doesn't get any better than that. And so this guy, if he's available in your league for this next 4 games, then we can discuss after that.
Yeah.
But if he's available, get him on your team for the next 4 games. You can slide him into any position pretty much that you need to. And this guy goes right to the top of my list of waiver ads. If he's available, get him.
Kevin, you're teeing me up perfect tonight, and
I like when I do that. I like when I do that.
But my next guy just came off a 4-game series with the A's, and so a testament to what you're saying. 4-game series against the A's are good things for your fantasy team.
That's right.
So I'm going Ernie Clement. They're in Toronto.
Yeah, we saw what he did over the weekend.
Yeah, second base, third base, shortstop eligible, 6.8% rostered. Now, again, you have to understand, as great as these last 4 games have been, it has been against the A's, and he doesn't get to play the A's back-to-back series. But I'm all about finding the guy who's on a heater, and Ernie Clement's on a heater. He has 4 straight games with 2 or more hits. He was 2 for 4 today, 2 for 4 yesterday, 4 for 5 on whatever day that was, the 30th, and 3 for 5 on the 29th. He has 5 straight games with a home run. 5 straight games with a home run. That's right. You heard it right there. A home run against the A's today, a home run yesterday, 2 home runs on Saturday or Friday or whatever day that was, and then 1 against the A's on the 29th and 1 against the Rangers before that. So right now he's on a heater. Yes, he played the A's. He's not playing the A's now. I understand that, but he's saw the ball so well in this series. Now's the time to take another chance on if he's still available in 94% of leagues. So you're sitting there looking for a middle infielder or a corner infielder. Why not give Ernie Clement a chance? So that's who I'm going for this week.
Okay, so another guy that I have is another Tampa Bay Ray.
Okay,
and that's outfielder Josh Lowe, who's been battling some injuries this year. Yeah. He's at 12.8% roster, hitting 327. Okay, hits in his last 5 games, including 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 3 for 4. So he's hitting the cover off the ball. He has hits in 7 of his last 8 games, in which he has 10 runs and 2 stolen bases. He'll be at home this week, playing in that bandbox that Tampa Bay is forced to play in right now. And I added him to my team. I contemplate, because they didn't play today, I contemplating dropping him, but I just couldn't do it. He's that hot.
Yeah.
And if you need any kind of outfield help, Josh Lowe goes right to the top of the list.
And who's Tampa Bay playing this week, later in the week? Miami.
That would be the Miami Marlins.
So, again, you lead me right into it. You did me with Little as the pitcher. You gave me the lead in with the A's situation. I'm going back to Miami for my last guy, outfielder. So we're going opposite on pitchers and opposite on outfielders.
Okay.
This one is purely thank me later, right? You're not going to look at his stats and you're going to go, oh, this makes a lot of sense. No, you're going to say, wait, what? Do you know what you're talking about? And we will know by the end of the week if I know what I'm talking about. This is a guy I fell in love with earlier in the season. He got injured, and he just came back this week. 1.6% rostered, Dane Myers from the Miami Marlins. Now, he came back, played against San Francisco for 3 games. He went -1, 2 points, 1 point. Say, well, that's not great. No. They started a series today against the Colorado Rockies. So he gets a few more games against the Rockies. It's at home in Miami. Then he's going to play against Tampa in a minor league stadium. Listen, Dane Myers, 315 on the year, 3 home runs, not great, I understand. 7 stolen bases, not bad. 14 RBIs. Miami's not a great team, not an offensive powerhouse, but I'm telling you, if you need an outfielder, you won't have to fight for Dane Myers. He's available, and I don't think you'll regret it. I think when we come back to the end of the week, we're going to look back at this. We're going to compare two people next week, Kevin. We're going to compare Little and Cabrera and see which one outdueled the other one. and we're
Okay.
going to look at Lowe and Myers and see which one had the better week as well. I think they're all very even. I don't think there's one that's drastically greater than the other one or anything like that. I'm intrigued, though, to see how it goes. I'm just telling you, I'm in on Dane Myers. I don't have any great reason to be in on Dane Myers, but I'm in on Dane Myers. He worked for me earlier in the season before his injury, and I think he can work for you this week, Colorado and Tampa. It's just the right situation for him to have success this week. So Dane Myers, outfielder, Miami, is my last ad of the week.
Okay, so that sets us right up, as you mentioned. We're going to have a heck of a barn burner of a show next week. Oh, we already know that. So you're definitely going to want to tune in.
That's right.
For sure. Next Sunday night, hopefully, that's when we'll get back on. Yeah, that's the plan at current pace, and we'll get back on the beam. So,
yeah,
there it is.
There it is. All right. That's our waiver wire ads this week. The Fantasy Focus presented by SeatGeek. Check them out, SeatGeek.com. You've heard of them. You know about them. Now you just need to go purchase your ticket there. SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code BellyUpSports to get $20 off your first purchase. All right, Kevin, I know we've got a loaded week because I'm with you for some of it. But tell me what's going on in the Kevin universe this week on the Belly Up Sports Network.
Well, tomorrow is a banner day. And why, let me say? Because we are relaunching the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show, which will be coming live tomorrow at 8 Central.
Yeah, it's going to be a party.
It's going to be a straight up, you definitely want to, for the longest time, we had a lot of guys and viewers that were watching that show. And things kind of unraveled a little bit, but we're back on the beam. So the two of us and also Brian will be there. We've got some, you definitely want to check that out. We've got some topics. We know we're going to be barn burners there. So you definitely want to check that out. And also on the Belly Up side, we have finished our dynasty rankings.
Yep.
I put out the tight ends was the last rankings that I did, but they're all available over there on the Belly Up Sports. And also, we talked about ads just a little bit ago, but I have an article out there with streaming pictures, some of which I talked about right here. But I put it out today. And so you definitely want to check that out. If you're in fantasy baseball, don't let this week go too much longer without checking that article. There's pictures on there that you will want to get on your team. And also my fantasy MVP series is finally beating, we got a beating heart with that.
Yep.
And you want to check that out. And you want every week. There will be a fantasy MVP baseball series. Look for it on the Belly Up Fantasy website or Belly Up Sports. And you can always get me on Twitter at Kevin62WILSEA.
Yep, bellyupsports.com. You go to baseball, and then on the drop down, you hit on fantasy. It'll bring up the fantasy baseball stuff. You go to football, it'll drop down. You go to fantasy, it'll bring you all the stuff going on there as well. So plenty of stuff going on there. I'm with you, Kevin. Tuesday night, tomorrow night is the fantasy football, Belly Up Fantasy Football live show. It's going to be great. We've got a lot of prep into this and excited to get that rolling. It'll be live on, right here, Belly Up Fantasy Sports Facebook page. It'll be live on the Belly Up Twitter account. And then following the program, it'll go up on the Belly Up YouTube channel. And as well, it has its own podcast. So if you search Belly Up Fantasy Live Football, you'll find that there as well. And this show, the baseball show, has its own podcast as well. You can find that there as well. Then Thursday night, if all goes well, me and Dad will have our Sports Stove football show rolling on through. We're previewing the Big 12 this week. We did the ACC last week. So if you missed that, you can go back and catch that, the Sports Stove Football Show podcast or Belly Up Sports YouTube channel.
Go Utah.
Sure. I don't think I have them rated very high, but
no, their quarterback was forced to retire.
Yes.
So that's not good.
Yeah. Me too. I was forced to retire also. So that's going on this week. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. I hope that you'll join us for those programs, and hope you'll be back with us next week for this Belly Up Fantasy Baseball show as well. We're looking forward to being right back at it all the time on Twitter. He's Kevin62WILSEA. You can find me at Sports Stove on Twitter and Instagram as well. Shout out to the EKU Colonels. They hired a new coach this week, baseball coach, and dude's got some accolades. Big D2 coach moving up to EKU. So excited about that. And at some point soon, we're going to have a guest on the show, Kevin. I haven't told you about this yet. Breaking news. That plays in the Banana League. And he's been on my program before, and on another program I used to have. And so we're going to try to get him on the show to talk about the Banana League. He does not play for the Savannah Bananas. He plays for the Firemen. But we're going to get him on and talk a little bit of Banana League baseball.
Do minor league teams know how to do it with these names?
Yeah. We're going to have fun with it. So nonetheless, thanks for tuning in this week. Sorry we're a day late, but we're not $1 short. We're $5 short. So nonetheless, we'll be back next week. Thanks. Check out bellyupsports.com, Belly Up YouTube for more as well. Hope that you have a wonderful week.
That's right.